Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tia. In this video I'm going to show you guys how to do this scarf here. As you can see, it's a little bit of a wider type of scarf. It's more like a shawl, but not really. Anyways, it's just whatever you want to call it, but it's just a nice big scarf that you can use when the weather gets cold or when it gets a little bit warmer and you don't want to have a full jacket on. You can wrap this around you for warmth. But yeah, I'm going to be showing you guys how to do this using the block stitch, as you can see here, but we're going to be working horizontally. And in my previous video that I did the same stitch, and I will show you guys the video somewhere up here, but in that video I did the same stitch, but I worked vertically. So in other words, I started the project like this and worked up like this. And in this one here, I decided to do the same thing just to show you guys a different way that you can do the scarf with the same stitch. I worked on it going up like this. And as you can see, you guys, these beautiful colors here. I will show you guys the yarn that I'm using for this as well, so you guys can have all the stuff that you need to know. What I will do as well is I always do this. I put all the information about the yarn in the description box. So make sure you check that out so you can get all of your details before you go ahead and get the project started. But for now, let's go ahead and I can show you guys everything that I used, and then we can get the video started. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies. So before we get this project started, I'm going to show you the materials I'm using. And as you can see here, I have my big donut yarn. This is called Carron Big Donut by Yarnspirations, and it's called Ogo. I believe that's the name of it. And as you can see here, it is medium weight number 4. It's 100% acrylic. They recommended a 5mm crochet hook right here. And this is all the measurements that you need, I guess, if you're looking to know how much the weight of the yarn is and stuff like that. This is your information here. And in terms of color, this is called mint julep. I don't know how to say this name. If you know how to say this name, please just put it in the description box or in the comment box below, because some of these yarn colors I can never really pronounce them. But yeah, but that's pretty much it here. I really like this combo of colors here, so I thought I would do a nice big comfy scarf with these colors here. Okay, in terms of a crochet hook, I am going to be using a 5.5mm crochet hook, so it's a tiny bit bigger than what is recommended here, but it's all good. It's a preference of mine. You don't have to. And I am going to be needing a scissors as well to cut my strands. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, my lovelies, so before we get this project started here, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the length of the scarf, because we're working horizontally, which means we're working along the length of the scarf. You're going to make sure you determine the length of your scarf now, and by doing that is by making sure you have the number of chains that are corresponding to the length of the scarf that you're looking for. So in my case, I'm going to do a chain of 204, and that is going to be the length of my scarf that I'm looking for. It's quite long. I just like my scarves to be quite long, and this is going to be also wide, so which is going to be a nice big wrap. I call them a scarf, but it's going to be like a body wrap as well. Okay, so my 204 chains is going to be, because we're doing multiples of 4 plus 2, so my multiples of 4 got me to 202 chains, and then I added 2 more to make it the 204. Okay, so of course you go ahead and do that, and then we will go ahead and get started when you know how many chains you need to have for the length of your scarf. So I'm going to go ahead and do a slip knot and then start doing my 204 chains. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my chain of 204 here. So as you can see, it's quite long. I cannot even fit everything fully on the screen. Okay, so again, this is multiples of 4 until I got to 202 chains, and then I added 2 more chains for my working chains, and this is pretty much it here. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with our first row of this project. And to do our first row, okay, we're going to pretty much turn our work like this, and then in this very second, so you skip this first chain in the second chain here, we're going to go through and do a single crochet stitch, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to do a chain of 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then we're going to count up 3 chains. So 1, 2, 3. We skip those, and in the 4th one we're going to do a single crochet, just like that. Okay, so that's how that first part should look like. And then we're going to do a chain of 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to skip 3 chains. So 1, 2, 3. In the 4th one here, we're going to do a single crochet stitch, and then count up 3 chains and skip 3. 1, 2, 3. In the 4th, do a single crochet. So you guys kind of get what we're doing here. We're creating these pockets where we're going to be doing our block stitches. So I would like you guys to continue creating these all the way until you get to the end of your long chain. And when you get there, come back and I will show you guys how to start the second row. Okay, so this is going to be a 2-row repeat. And what we just did here, what we're doing here for the first row is actually your first repeat and then the second one. So you're going to repeat 1 and 2, 1 and 2 all throughout the project. Okay, so I will see you guys when you have reached the end of the chain. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed my first row here. So as you can see, this is how my work looks like. I love this green quite a lot here. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with our second row. So for the second row, we're going to do a chain of 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to turn our work like so. Okay, let me just move the rest of it out of the way. And then in this gap here where we did our chain 3, I'm going to work 3 double crochet stitches in that gap. So that's the first one, and that is number 2 and number 3. Okay, so that is how your first block stitch looks like. This is our chain 3 here, and then we have our 3 double crochets in there. And then I'm going to chain 1, and then in the next big gap I'm going to do 3 more double crochet stitches. And as you can tell here, we're creating our block stitches, hence why this shawl or wrap or scarf is called block stitch, scarf, wrap, or shawl. Okay, and then you're going to chain 1 and move on to the next gap and do 3 more double crochets. So these are your blocks here that we're creating, like I said. And we're just going to continue to repeat these all the way to the end of this row. And then when you get to the end, we're going to then start our next row, which is row 3. And we're going to be creating gaps again to be able to do our block stitches. So for now, go ahead and do your double crochet stitches in the big gaps that we created with the chain 3s from the previous row. And don't forget to do your chain 1 in between those. And then I will go ahead and show you guys how to do row 3, which is going to be your repeat row is going to be 2 rows, which is the next row that we're doing, and then the row after that, or the row that we just did, and this row is going to be our repeat rows. But go ahead and do this to the end, and I'll see you guys when you have completed this row. Okay, my lovelies, so I have reached the end of the row here, which is I just did my second row. So as you can see, I have completed my 3 double crochets in the final gap here, and we're going to finish this row off by doing a double crochet in that final stitch of the row. So we're just going to do something like that, and the reason we're doing this here is because we're matching the beginning of the project where we started off, not the beginning of the project, my apologies, but the beginning of the row where we started off with a chain 3 and then we completed 3 double crochet stitches. So we're doing the same here. We finish off with 3 double crochet stitches and we finish off with another double crochet to make it look just like this. Okay, so that is the end of row 2, which is now this is these 2 last row we just did our your repeat rows. So this is how simple this project is, and then you just repeat that on and on and on and on until you have the size of your shawl or scarf or wrap that you're looking for. So I'm going to show you how to start the row 3, and it's going to be with a chain 1 and then turn your work. Okay, and then in this very first stitch here, right after your chain 1, you're going to do your single crochet stitch like that, and then you're going to do a chain of 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then in the big gap where you have the chain 1 from the previous row, so you're skipping these 3 stitches, and in the 4th stitch you're going through the big gap and doing your single crochet stitch, and then again chaining 3 and going into the big gap and doing your single crochet stitch, and then chaining 3, and then you're going into the big gap and doing your single crochet stitch. So as you can see here, we're pretty much doing what we started with from the foundation chain. We're creating these big gaps here where we're going to then do the next set of the block stitches, and you're going to do this, of course, all the way to the end. When you get to the end here, come back and I will show you quickly how to do a few of the block stitches in the 4th row, and then I will have you guys build up your work until you have the size of the length, the size of the scarf that you're looking for, and then of course we'll go ahead and look at our work when we have everything completed. Okay, so do this pattern here, which is chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, but you're skipping the block stitches here and going into the gaps where we did a single crochet, or where we did a chain 1, I should say, from the previous row. And when you have reached the end, come back and we will start the next row together. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed this 3rd row, and this is the row where we're creating these pockets here where we're going to be doing our block stitches. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few of these block stitches, and then you're going to pretty much repeat this pattern until you have the size of your work completed. So to start this row, we're going to do a chain of 3. So 1, 2, 3, turn our work. Okay, so we're just going to move the whole thing to this side, and then in this very gap that we just created here with a chain 3, we're going to go into it and do our 3 double crochets in that gap. So again, this is just repeating 2 rows ago. Okay, and then when I have done my 3 double crochet stitches like that, I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to do 3 more double crochets in the next big gap. Okay, and this is creating block stitches, and then chain 1 and move on into the next big gap, and this is pretty much what you're repeating again until you get to the end. And then you're going to do your next row of the chain stitches here, and then when you have that row, you're going to repeat this row. So this is pretty much it here. So again, just to reiterate, so you're going to be working on this row here where you do chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, but you're skipping the block stitches. And then in the next row after that, after you do your chain 3 and turn, you do 3 double crochet stitches in that same big gap that you created with the chain 3. You chain 1, you do 3 more in the next big gap, chain 1, 3 more in the next big gap, and then you repeat this pattern until you have the length of your work. Okay, or the I guess width of your work. And you can either do, so this is where you're also going to decide how wide you want your scarf to be. So as you can see here, we have just done 4 rows, and then you're going to continue to work until you have the width of your scarf. And you can stop at any time, but when you stop, it's good to stop with this row here. Okay, so when you get to this row here, then you're gonna come back to a row that is of the block stitch. That's what I mean. You're gonna come back to the video and we're gonna finish it off, and then we can be done our project. Okay, so go ahead and repeat that, and we will see you guys at the end. So it's probably gonna be a little bit in a while because you have to build up your work fully before you come back. So make sure you pause the video, make sure you save the video. More importantly, actually subscribe if you're not a subscriber, so that you know where to go and find the pattern again when you're ready to come back, because it may be a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks for some of you, depending on how quick you work and how much work you dedicate to your work. Maybe you have other things that you do in the meanwhile, and then you just kind of pick up your work every so often. Okay, so let's go ahead and work with this, and we will see you guys at the end. See you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed the scarf. So as I said, I would work until I was done the donut yarn that I had, and as you can see here, that is all I have left. It will not allow me to do another row of it, so this is where we're gonna stop with it. And as you can see, this is the end here. I ended up just the last row here ended up being the block stitch row, and as you guys know, I started here with a chain row at the beginning, and if I had enough yarn, I would have probably finished that off with a row of the chain 3 and then single crochet, chain 3 and then single crochet. But since I am running out and I don't think this is gonna get me all the way through, I'm gonna stop here, and it looks just fine. There's no problem with leaving it like this at all. So if you do have some yarn or enough yarn to take you one more row the other way, which is just the row of the chain 3 and then single crochet in the gaps, chain 3, single crochet in the gap, go ahead and do that, because it will make it match the other side that you started the project on, but it's not a must at all. But yeah, so this is pretty much it here. So as you guys can see, it turned out really well. I really love this. So like again, the previous video that I have up is the block stitch, but we worked vertically, and with this one it's the same thing, which is the block stitch scarf, but we're working horizontally. But just to show you guys different ways that you can use this stitch pretty much. And also, as I said, I'm going to be doing one that is with as a triangle. We're also using the same stitch, so I will have a tutorial for that so you guys can see the difference of how you can use this stitch. But yeah, that's pretty much it here. I'm gonna go ahead and just end this here. I will find something else to do with this yarn. I have a lot of scrap yarns like this that are left over from projects. I will just find a way to combine all of them and do something. So I'm just gonna cut my yarn here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of close that up here, and I will weave these in and this end here. And of course we have the tail where we started the project here that I will also weave in, and that's pretty much it. So nothing else to be done with this scarf. Yeah, so this is pretty much it. Oh, in terms of measurements, just for those of you who would like to know what the measurements are, so the width of it here is about 14 inches, and I'm not stretching it. It's a very stretchy pattern, so it can stretch to become really wide, but if you just lay it down, it's in its natural position. This is about 14 inches, and then the length of it like this is about 55 inches. Okay, so this is usually around the length of my scarf for most of my scarves. So 55 length, and then 14 and I think in my previous tutorial for the block stitch it was 15 inches, so not a problem at all that this is a little bit not as wide as the other one. But yeah, we just worked with the donut, and when it came to the end, then we stopped. So in your case, you will do the same. You work with your donut. When it comes to the end, then you just stop there, obviously, because unless you want to go get a second donut and then make your scarf a lot longer or a lot wider, then that is all up to you. Okay, all right, well, thank you so much, you guys, for watching the tutorial to the end. And of course, I will always remind you, if you haven't yet subscribed and you would like to, go ahead and do so. And subscribing just allows you to have videos that will show up when I post, and especially if you hit the notification bell. And yeah, so you will be able to see all of the other videos that I have on my channel. Okay, all right, well, thank you again, and I will see you guys in my next video. Kwaheri.